A history paper that can cover anything that happened in the 20th century? What in the world am I supposed to write about? I like war, I like propaganda, but I'm not dedicated enough to those topics to spend months researching and writing about. On past year's papers, I've written about Greek trade routes and Elizabeth I. What I've learned from those papers was to never choose the easiest topic or a topic that is mainstream. What followed choosing these topics was boring research sessions, procrastination, and a paper that wasn't that great. I was thinking to myself, what in the world am I going to write about? What I needed to do was follow my interests. What are my interests? Surfing? Maybe. Skiing? Maybe. Baseball? Maybe. Boating? Maybe something about the Coast Guard. But as many of you know, cars. Yes, cars. More specifically, motorsport. When you think of motor racing in the early 20th century, you think of European Grand Prix around the streets of Monaco and Le Mans, in shiny red Ferraris and green Bentleys. Those are awesome times and great cars, but what about America? I thought to myself, what about those guys who turn left? That's American. That's motorsport. I'll give it a try. What I did know was that NASCAR started during the Prohibition era because of bootlegging and moonshine running. What I didn't know was how to build off that or what to argue. Taking notes was pretty hard because there wasn't much about NASCAR becoming popular in the early to mid 20th century. All of the content was recent and it was getting harder to fulfill my notebook checks. I kept plugging slowly but surely and came to a conclusion about what to write. I wanted to know how in the world guys going around in a circle became popular in America. I asked myself what aspects helped grow and promote the sport. After lots of research and notes, I concluded that there were three main points that promoted its popularity. Those points are the public's idea of a new sport, the media, and lots of marketing. My thesis is as follows. Although NASCAR started as an illegal business of bootlegging during Prohibition, it quickly became one of America's most popular pastimes. Its popularity came through the public's vision of a new, intense, and competitive form of sport, as well as through huge media presence and immense amounts of marketing dollars. During the Prohibition era, men in the South outran the law in cars that they modified. Word between the men got out, and they started to race for bragging rights on whose car was the fastest. Races started popping up at fairs and in fields. Bill France was the founder of the organization known as NASCAR, the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing. Now into the nitty-gritty. In my first assertion, I focused on the aspects of the new sport that drew the public in. The public loved the danger and excitement that went along with the sport. People loved seeing up to 50 cars going around the track at 150 miles an hour. Anyone could crash, anyone could win, and anyone could die at any moment, and the public loved that excitement. The public also loved the technological aspect of NASCAR. Cars were relatively new to the public, and NASCAR incorporated the new technology with sport. As it's stated in the Journal of Popular Culture, NASCAR has capitalized on America's fascination with technologies. NASCAR combined the two American interests, sport and technology, to make such a popular sport. For my second assertion, the argument on how the media's influence on the sport came up. The media's patriotic view on NASCAR, along with its coverage through newspaper and television, helped promote the relatively new sport immensely. The media portrayed NASCAR as a very patriotic sport. The sport encompassed American values like individualism, self-reliance, dedication to community, and hard work, as was written in the Journal of Popular Culture. Fans could relate to the sport because these were the values they lived by every day. The sport was also homegrown, and the public loved to support anything American-made. Newspaper articles paved the way in the media. They showed the public what could be seen at races. Newspapers published images and articles that described what people loved about the sport: close, dangerous racing, speed records, and winning drivers. The public saw the excitement that was linked to the sport and wanted to get involved. Television coverage was the medium that helped NASCAR explode. Television coverage was broadcasted nationally, so it reached a large audience. The bigger the audience that a broadcast reached, the greater amount of followers the sport would get. It's near to impossible to compare any other media coverage to live broadcasting. Live broadcasting made many people watching feel like they were at the race. Fans were able to experience the excitement of races in the comfort of their own home. Commentators engaged the fans in the race by conducting interviews with the drivers and cracking jokes, as was seen in the first live broadcast on CBS. Finally, my last assertion is the marketing aspect of NASCAR. When companies advertised anything in relation to NASCAR, people were indirectly exposed to the sport. If someone was buying a product that was the official something of NASCAR, they'd realize that since the company they are loyal to is involved in the sport, they should be too. In my first example of this, people loved to watch cars that they drove every day race around the track. In a 1954 advertisement in the New York Times, there was a Chrysler shown, and it said that it was the winner of the Daytona Beach race. People would not only be more likely to buy this car because of its accomplishments on track, but they'd also be more likely to look into the sport that their car excelled in. People didn't only like the cars themselves, but was being sold on them. The cars were rolling billboards for corporate sponsors, as Fortune magazine puts it. The companies that were represented on the cars pay NASCAR and the teams money, which would help grow the sport. Also, people would be more likely to buy that product because it was affiliated with the sport and celebrities. To wrap things up, I think the key to enjoying the project was choosing a topic that I have a passion for. I learned that it doesn't matter how hard the topic was to research or how late I stayed up some nights looking for sources. What matters is the fact that I enjoyed the process because of the topic I chose and that the experience helped grow my writing skills immensely. Thank you.